this computer.
Lovely faces on the screen. Isabel, Susie, Anne, and Vincent, Margaret. Nice. All the familiar ones. There's some new one as well. All the lovely, colorful faces.
Hasmita from London. Hi, Hasmita. And Tamara. Namaste, everybody. Okay. Actually, the yoga class that we run tomorrow night, we've cancelled it because, well, it's Patrick's Day. And we're doing a free yoga class on Saturday. So I sent you all the link for that. And Dr. Rajvinder will do the breathing exercises. I'll talk about it a bit more later on. Anybody that hasn't learned those breathing exercises should come on to that yoga class. Even if you don't do the postures, even though everybody should do the postures, they're very simple and very easy.
Yeah, very gentle.
Yeah, they're very gentle. But we'll do the breathing exercise as well. Really great for anxiety and insomnia and things like that, you know. So Gloria, your video does not work. Okay, Gloria, that's, you know, some local issue there you have with your PC. So so let's see, is Dr. Brennan? Not on yet.
What time is yoga at? Saturday it's at 11.
11 o'clock.
Yeah, on Wednesday we do it at 7. 7, half 7? 7.
7. But it's not
7.
on tomorrow night. It's not,
yeah,
we're taking a break
next
tomorrow.
Yeah,
So it'll be the following Wednesday. But people should come on the Saturday one. Now you have to register for the Saturday class, but it's in the link I sent you today. Just read down the email. I'll send it again tomorrow, but well, maybe Thursday, not tomorrow. But it's in that, and you need to click on it and you need to register for the class in order. It's free, like there's no charge for it, but you need to register for it to get it. So it's 11 o'clock on Saturday, the 20th. So did any of you, oh, there's Dr. Naheed. Hi, Dr. Naheed.
Hi, Noel. How are you?
Very good. Very good. How are you?
Oh, hello, Dr. Naheed.
Hi, Dr. Rajvinder. How are you?
Yeah, good. Look nice in your hair. Open. As Dr. really likes it.
I look older to him today.
You look which?
You don't look sleepy then.
Older. He says when I keep my hair down, I look 5 years older.
You think you're 5 years older? Okay.
No.
So
Very young looking.
Amani is in Kuwait. Hi, Amani. Welcome along. Lorraine is also in Kuwait. Okay. And my question is about eczema and very dry skin for Pitta. What can help that? And happy St. Patrick's Day. So Rajvinder, maybe you want to.
Very dry skin for Pitta, and you have eczema. Okay, they both are kind of Vata and a Pitta conditions, and so need to look into your diet if you're hydrating yourself. In general, you can use the skin soother oil we have mixed with coconut oil that will calm down some of the inflammation, but try to avoid all the inflammatory food, the Pitta increasing. So Pitta is, you're going to hear about Pitta is hot, Pitta is sharp, and Pitta is acidic. So you avoid very like hot spices like chilies and paprika and cayenne, and then the sharp taste as well, which is very too much of ginger, too much of radishes, and too much of sharpness that can come from turmeric, and then acidic food. So 3 quality of Pitta. If you avoid that, and sharpness of mind, bitterness of mind, irritation, so mind quality the same, staying too much hot, like too much hot climate, so keep yourself cool, keep yourself hydrated, let your mind stay calm, let your mind stay cool as well. If you feel anger or irritation, you work on that. So it's both working on the Pitta qualities. So through your food, your diet, lifestyle, you work on this. And there are lovely herbs. One herb I can tell you here is the Sariva, Indian sarsaparilla, that's a very good one. Aloe vera juice is very good one. Amla juice is very good one, which if you can get access to the fresh amla, you take amla powder, put into water, and make a kind of a juice from it and drink it every day. So they are very cooling herbs to keep the Pitta in balance in your system.
Yeah, and Lorraine is in Kuwait, so I'm presuming it's fairly hot there all year round. Maybe I'm
Yeah,
wrong, but I'm presuming it's fairly hot there.
it
So
must be, yeah,
that's
like
not going to that's going to aggravate Pitta as well. So you need to really work on keeping your keeping your Pitta down.
yeah, you work on your liver, you need to calm down the heat through your liver. So liver tonics, liver herbs. So it's a very kind of lot of things you need to work on into. There's no quick fix, depends on how long eczema going on. It must be some anxiety going on. Diet, maybe if you're Asian or Lorraine, yeah, probably if eating any spicy food there. Yeah, try to see if you can work a little bit on your side. So you will understand a lot from today's lecture and see if you can understand about Pitta a bit more.
What happens to Pitta in a hot climate? Well, it goes up is what happens to it. Like I was in, where was I? Actually not last year, but the year before last, I was in Cancun in Mexico, and I was there in August, and oh my God, it was just way too much for me now. It was way too much for me. So yeah, absolutely. And the hot weather is going to put your Pitta up. Your Pitta is going to go up in the summertime. That's why you need to go swimming. That's like I'd be, do a lot of swimming in the summertime to cool down. And so Pitta is heat, and the summertime is a Pitta season. So there's just no way around it. Hot weather is going to increase your Pitta,
Yeah.
Yeah, you can include like vegetables like cucumber, which is very cooling and very hydrating, and watermelon, that is very cooling and hydrating as well, and that will help you to to lessen the heatness. So in some part of the India where it's too hot, people like on a daily basis they consume cucumber and watermelon. It really helps you to feel cool and calm.
It's like a street food in India. They sell cucumbers on the carts or lemon juice, lemonade, coconut water everywhere.
Yeah, coconut's very
Watermelon.
cooling. Coconut in India is just on a hot day, just
Yeah.
taking straight from the coconut, just stick a straw on it, and
Yeah.
it's absolutely lovely. It's lovely, but you just
And
need to do
What's
things.
that called, Dr. Rajvinder, which is of this much big size, which is called kakari? I don't know the English name.
yeah, it is one of the melon, but it's not watermelon. We just call it melon here. The yellow ones.
No. It's like cucumber. It's like
Oh,
cucumber. It's
kakuri.
long.
Okay, I got you now. That's very difficult to find here. I'll think about it.
Yeah, right. That's
Yeah,
very cooling as
yeah,
well.
it's one of the cucumber family anyway. Yeah.
Hiya, Don.
How you know, how you know he.
And
Hi,
sugarcane, yeah.
hi.
Hello, Dr. Ram. Yeah. Yeah, sugarcane is cooling, yeah. Yeah, sugarcane is sold in India in summertime, yeah, with mint and lemon squeezed into it. It's very hydrating, it's very cooling, and it's good source of
And
iron.
and 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 ghee as well. Like so, in the western part of India, like a state called Rajasthan, and that's like a desert kind of area, and that's very hot, and the people over there, they are like really used to of having ghee, and you'll be surprised to know that they have ghee like around 200 to 250 ml in a meal, so they are used to of it. So maybe you can just add a teaspoon or a tablespoon of ghee in your diet, gradually increase the dose. And milk is also cooling, so if you're comfortable having milk, then you can have milk as well. That will also give you cooling effect.
Just
And
related to
milk is
that.
constipating. If milk is
Oh yeah,
constipating,
you're taking.
hey, add the ghee. Add the teaspoonful of ghee. Is that what you were going to say, right?
Yes.
And that takes care of the constipation. Great.
And add some spices like turmeric, or if you're in a cold climate, you can add some ginger. That will help to digest the milk and dilute it with a little bit of water.
Yeah.
And if you're in a warm climate, then you add poppy seeds paste or cardamom, saffron, make it kind of according to the climate, you're just the spices and ghee in it.
Gandharva Veda said sugarcane juice as well is very cooling. I know in India they sell that at the side of the road. They actually have a machine that they just run the sugarcane through it, and the juice just comes out and they give it to you. It's absolute. I don't know whether it's good for you, bad for you, or whatever, but it's absolutely gorgeous, especially on a hot day. I presume it's a very natural product, so it's obviously sugar in it, but it's really cooling. It's very, very cooling. Good few people asking about thyroid. So anybody with thyroid issues, I would strongly recommend that you go and look at the webinar that Dr. Who did the webinar on thyroid?
Dr. Brannan.
Yeah, Dr. Brannan's webinar on thyroid.
And he recommended a herb called musta, which is very good, which is a digest ama in the body, because thyroid could be a lot of ama. So MESTA, musta herb, and slippery alum. Those are 2 recommendations of Dr. Brennan from the webinar.
So it's about a 2-hour-long webinar. It's under webinars on our website. You can buy it. You can rent it for a month if you want. We ran it there last year sometime. We'll probably rerun it sometime again. Actually, the women's health webinar we're rerunning on Monday night, next Monday. So from 7 o'clock, and that's 2.5 hours long nearly. So it's full of really, really useful information for ladies. So it's 3 presentations by the 3 doctors. So, you know, for any ladies out there, it's well worth coming on and looking at that webinar if you haven't seen it already, you know. And the thyroid one is on our website as well. And that's, again, I think it's nearly 2 hours long, talking about all different things to do with thyroid. So, okay, we're moving on.
The person's question was about thyroid, how to adjust. He or she's coming off the thyroxine. Dr. Brenning's suggestion from the webinar was to iodine. So seaweeds, try to see the seaweeds. You can get the kelp and the supplement form from the Cytoplan. So see if you can, if it's hypothyroidism, you can boost up your iodine level, and then selenium, maybe from the Brazil nuts or as a supplement. So see if that can help you.
So a lot of people recommending sugarcane.
So there's a related Pitta question. Somebody who at the end of Pitta time of life, coming into the change of life, is experiencing hot flushes. And so again, it's a situation where you're entering the Vata time of life, and the Vata is now involved with the Pitta and creating these hot flushes. So it's adjusting to the time of the life to balance Vata, and it's Pitta reducing measures to reduce the heat. And there is a herbal that is available for that change of life, which is menopause support 2. So try 2 of those twice a day, see if they help. And today we're talking about Pitta, aren't we?
Yeah,
But
Pitta, yeah.
better listen to today's talk too.
Yeah, yeah. Menopause support to MA939 if that person's looking for it. Okay, I think we should start this lecture because its time is moving on. So if you don't mind, I'll 271 on. I'll share the screen. So today we're talking about Pitta dosha. Okay, so we'll go to our 3rd lesson in our Ayurveda course. So in our last lesson, we discovered the qualities of Vata. We had an in-depth look at Vata and the diseases and disorders associated with Vata, and we know now how we can balance our Vata. Nice warm abhyangas, nice warm food, not too much time pressure, early to bed, a very moderate amount of exercise, and all of these things that can help balance Vata. And today we're going to be looking at Pitta. Now, Pitta, as you know, or maybe you don't know, is made up of fire and water. So Pitta is the fiery dosha. And this is of particular interest to me because I have quite a lot of Pitta in me as well. And Pitta is a great dosha to have a lot of because it's got great organizing power, it's got great strength, it likes to understand things, but out of balance, it's not so good because then we become angry and impatient and compulsive and all these things. So we're going to have a very in-depth look at Pitta today. We're going to start off with Dr. Brennan. And Dr. Brennan, I'd like to first of all start by asking you, what do you feel is the big significance of Pitta?
Pitta is very profound and very wonderful dosha, as you say, Noel. If we start from the very source again, we find one fundamental consciousness at the depth of our mind, which under the influence of Vata, prana, starts to move, and actually its active mode is mind, and then it starts to organize a physical structure to work through. And so each of us is conceiving, constructing, becoming our body. And we saw in the last talk how profound, how sublime Vata is. And with the progressive emergence from the field of consciousness, we find the 5 senses being the instruments through which elements emerge, air and space being Vata. And then the fire element, as Noel mentions, is the Pitta. It's associated with the sense of sight. And so in the mind, it's very much to do with the intellect, that discriminating value, which decides this or that, good or bad. And that discrimination is, when very refined, is an aspect of Pitta called Tejas, which gives incredible light to a personality. And then that Pitta further goes on to transform. Pitta is the process of transformation, basically. So the Vata is what moves everything in mind and body, but the Pitta comes in and transforms so that we can change our mind, or we can digest our lunch, and we can transform nourishment into energy. We can transform information into knowledge. So all these aspects of transformation, they're like the fire that burns and transforms things in a chemical reaction. So one thing we start with, and then the transformation, and we get something else. In the same way, nourishment comes in as we eat and breathe and take nourishment through our senses and through our emotions. And then Pitta transforms it into us, into what we are. So this is the profound, fundamental reality of Pitta's function of transformation. And when done properly, then fantastic health.
And what would be the indications of someone who's, let's say, whose Pitta was very balanced? How would someone whose Pitta is balanced be? What would indicate that?
Lovely question, Noel. The balanced Pitta gives rise to a very intelligent mind, a very clear, perceptive, enlightened mind, incredibly discriminating, and a very good willpower. Someone who's very independent, very warm and friendly, courageous. They make very good guides, very good teachers, very good leaders. So that's the Pitta when it's lovely and balanced. But if it starts to get a little overexcited, Ayurveda would say rajasic in the mind, become willful and impulsive and ambitious and aggressive and controlling and critical, and dominating, manipulating, become angry, become wrathful. You've got to keep Noel on side, keep balanced.
Yeah. Some of those things don't sound so nice. In actual fact, I would say if you were living with a Pitta person and their Pitta was out of balance, you mightn't have such a nice life, really.
No, it gets worse. If the Pitta becomes tamasic, and this is just motivating you to keep your balance, the Pitta would become hateful, vile, vindictive, violent, destructive, psychopathic, criminal, drug dealer, underworld figure.
Okay. So that's extreme imbalance. But still, I mean, then it would be very necessary for people to know how to balance the Pitta, or how to help balance the Pitta of someone that's in their life, And we're going to be talking about that a lot with Dr. Edvinder a little bit later on. But some of you may be recognizing those qualities in yourself. Are you very impatient? Are you an impatient driver? Can you stand in a queue? Do you get angry very quickly? Are you very judgmental? All of those things will be a sign of a Pitta imbalance. And we'll talk more about a little bit later on about what the diseases associated with Pitta imbalances are. So the qualities and functions of Pittodon, I think you've already kind of explained them, but
the thing there, Noel, is that the balance is brilliant on the physical side, because it's going to give you immense energy, and it's going to give you a lovely lustrous complexion and a very sort of sharp appetite, joy with food, very discriminating. So because it is the transformational process, if it's balanced, it gives incredible good digestion, good transformation of nourishment to tissues, to energy. So it's fundamental for good health when balanced. So the balance and the imbalance will, of course, come back again to the qualities. So Pitta's qualities are hot and sharp and dynamic and slightly oily. And so it's important that these qualities be balanced in life by the opposite qualities. So if Pitta is very hot, we need to keep the Pitta chilled. They need to chill out and have fun and laugh, and a good work-life balance. They need, to be softened up in some ways. They're not to be ordered around, but if you agree with them, they're very amenable, very sweet.
This is why you're always agreeing with me, Dr. Brennan.
Oh, yes, our Lord is always right.
Yeah, I mean, it's very true what you say. I mean, I know if actually one of the things I love doing is going swimming in the summertime, and it's so good for Pitta people. It's just a great thing. And you might go in with all these tensions and worries, and you've been working hard and doing all these things, and then you just go swimming and you come out a different person, So it's
absolutely, because we have fire and here's water, and the water is so soothing. So you often see strong Pitta people. They're fishermen. They just love sitting for hours by the water. Yeah. And the rest of us think, what a waste of time, but for them, this is total peace, total serenity, total joy. When you're balanced, always joy. And so the water, the moonlight, things of beauty, because Pittas are very, very visual. And Dr. Naheed will be talking to us shortly about, the different Pittas. In the same way there are 5 Vattas, because we have 5 senses, and our Vata projects through senses. Similarly, Pittas projecting through 5 senses to create 5 Pittas. And each Pitta will in turn have its own location, as Dr. Naheed will discuss, and its own functions, understanding which gives us a more profound insight in what to balance. And so the balance will be in terms of the food as well, because Pitta is very strong in the digestive area, and the food immediately impacts there. And so we want to avoid anything fermented or overheating, like alcohol or vinegar or fermented things. Or we want to avoid too many hot spices for Pitta. Cooling spices like coriander and maybe cinnamon are more suited to them.
To a Pitta nature. Okay. So if you, how would you recognize, like everybody's going to have some Pitta in them, but obviously some people are going to be more predominant in it. It's like all the 3 doshas, you're not one or the other, you're all 3, but in different mixtures. So someone who's got a strong amount of Pitta, how would people recognize a person with, a lot of Pitta? And then I suppose more importantly, how would they recognize if that person's Pitta was imbalanced?
Well, that Pitta person will come towards you with a confident stride. He'll put the hand out for a strong handshake. You'll notice he has a ruddy complexion and a very sharp gaze in his eye. He's of moderate pace and moderate strength and stamina. So he's more like the middle distance runner, whereas Vata is more like the light and live sprinter. And so he's moderate size, moderate build, and he's got a warm nature, balanced. He's very cheerful and friendly, and then again, of course, if you are like relaxed and enjoying his company, it would indicate that he has a degree of balance. But if he's out of balance, you quickly spot the sharpness in the gaze of the eye being a bit too sharp. Or he could get too much sharpness in his appetite and start to get a lot of heartburn or burning sensation or inflammation in his body. He could end up with something like gout is a very hot, inflamed condition. Ulcers, ulcerative colitis, hemorrhoids, very hot sort of conditions. Irritable hot skin rashes would be Pitta. And so again, the balance comes down to his experience of life as joy and well-being, and how to balance, very uncomfortable, burning sensations, sour taste in his mouth, things like that. No. Okay. So I think, Dr. Brennan, that's given us a great overview to start with our exploration of Pitta. So we know that Pitta now, hot people, maybe very intelligent, like to understand things, like to control things, very great when in balance. They drive things forward, they get things done. But out of balance, like all the doshas, we get a problem. And those problems can show up as anger and impatience and those things that Dr. Brennan mentioned. So now we're going to
Okay, everybody. So now we're going to discuss the locations and subdoses of Pitta in the body. Dr. Brennan has given a great overview of the qualities of Pitta and what it does and what its functions are. But again, with all dosas, there are subdoses, there are locations of these in the body. There's different problems if different Pittas go out of balance. So Dr. Naheed, can you enlighten us in relation to Pitta and where its location and function is in the body?
Yeah, I would be delighted to do that. Just like I have discussed about the 5 subtypes of Vata dosha, similarly, Pitta has 5 subtypes. So the first one, which is located in our eyes and responsible for our vision, for our intellect, that one is called Alochak Pitta. And when we get exposed to too much of heat and maybe, smoking, because the hot fume is going inside our eyes. So what happens is that they go out of balance and we can have poor eyesight and recurring eye infections. Maybe it can be conjunctivitis or any inflammation in your eyes. The second one, which is located in our heart, and which helps in the formation of ojas, and which is also helps to control our emotions, our whatever experience we have, the ability to express ourselves. It is called sadhu. So when we get a lot of stress or worry, a lot of emotional pressure, then they go out of balance. And then the people start suffering with emotional baggages. They can't let go things. They are like angry, they are like irritable, and it's become very difficult for them to express themselves. And the third one, which is located in our liver, in our spleen, and they help to impart or I can say they help in the formation of our blood. So they are called ranjak, and they are also responsible to impart colors in our skin, in our hair, and all the coloring things. So it's actually a dyer. So if we consume a lot of alcohol, or we take incompatible combinations of food very frequently, then our Ranjak Pitta goes out of balance. And they can lead to skin problems. They can be like, acne, or they can be like serious autoimmune skin diseases. Or it can be like few people complain of premature graying of hair. So it's your Ranjak Pitta which is making your hair goes gray before it has to be. And there can be some bleeding disorders, like you're not clotting as early as it should be. And there can be jaundice. So jaundice is a disease in which you keep storing your bilirubin. There is excess of bilirubin in your blood, and you become pale and yellowish. The fourth one, which is present in our entire gut, and this is the most important subdosha of Pitta, because Ayurveda considers that a good digestion is the key to our good health. So it helps not only in digestion, but also in the transformation, whatever we eat. And one of the things which it does is it helps to separate the waste and the good essence of our food. That is called Pachak Pitta. So, in our courses, you must have heard quite good time that do not eat anything before your previous meal has been digested. If you do that, and if you keep doing that, then your Pachak Pitta goes out of balance, and you can have slow digestion, you can have hyperacidity, you can have, ulcer diseases like stomach ulcer or duodenum ulcer, or you can have stomatitis, like, the ulcers in your mouth. You can have loss of appetite as well. And the fifth one, which is present in our skin, and they are responsible for the temperature of our body. They are also responsible for our shades and color. And they are also responsible to absorption, like we are applying cream, we are applying oil in our body, like in when doing abhyanga. So this is the Bhrajak Pitta. It's responsible to digest all those oil in our skin to provide nutrition to deeper inside the skin, in our tissues, in our bones. So they go out of balance when we eat, when we are having indigestion, we are still feeling heavy, we are having burps, and we still eat. We don't digest our food properly and we keep having food. Or they can be because of climate change. So if you are a frequent traveler, if you are traveling from a cold country to a hot country, then your Rajat Pitta can goes out of balance. And you can suffer with skin diseases like, psoriasis, or maybe rash, maybe urticaria kind of thing, acne, and in fact, burning sensation, those who get a lot of sunburn and inflammation. And apart from all the disease I have discussed, in general, the Pitta tends to, like, whatever inflammation, whatever burning sensation we have in our body is because of the imbalance of your Pitta. So if you have all the symptoms, so you need to know that, you need to balance your Pitta.
Okay, Dr. Naheed, so that's great. And I don't want people to get too worried about the terminology there. If you want to see the different subdoses of Pitta, then on our website under Pitta, you can read all about them and what they're responsible for. But it just shows you the knowledge that the Ayurvedic doctor has, because they can pinpoint a particular condition based on a particular subdosha of Vata, Pitta or Kapha, and then they can make recommendations bringing on that back into balance. But that thing about the skin was very interesting, Dr. Naheed, about what you put on your skin, because obviously sesame oil Biang is very nourishing for the skin. But should people be careful about, there's a lot of cosmetics that people use nowadays, and there seems to be a huge amount of chemicals in those cosmetics. Is that a problem?
Yes, that will be a problem, because your skin is absorbing everything which you are applying in your body. So you need to be really careful when you choose any product. That's why we always recommend to go natural, to buy organic, to buy products which are made from the natural source and not from the synthetic chemical source.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I travel a lot myself and I always wonder about sun creams, because when you look at the bottle and you see what's in it, you're thinking, my God, what am I putting on myself here? And then I looked into natural sunscreens that are sunscreens that you could make. And there's a huge range of natural sunscreens that you can make for nourishing the skin as well. So you can avoid taking all those toxins in. And I did hear some statistic a while back about the amount of chemicals that leach into the body from... so Dr. Naheed, actually, I read some statistic a while back. I can't remember the exact figure, but an amazing amount of chemicals that get into the body through synthetic makeup and synthetic skincare products being put on, being put on your skin. So I think people need to be very, very careful, because the skin does absorb things into the system, doesn't it?
Yes, of course. So in fact, I have met one of my patients who gave she was suffering with scalp psoriasis. So when I was taking history that what went wrong, what made her Pitta actually goes out of balance. So the most significant thing I found that she dyed her hair for the first time. And just after a few weeks or maybe a month, she had started developing all those itching sensation and the rash kind of thing. And then it's been diagnosed with scalp psoriasis. So chemicals can be really harsh on us.
Okay, so we need to be very careful, because the skin is a Pitta organ. We need to be very careful about what we're taking into the system. Okay, Dr. Naheed, so that's fantastic. So now we're going to go and we're going to have thanks very much for all that information. And we're going to go to Dr. Rajvinder now. Lucan, and she sees quite a lot of patients coming into her. So Dr. Rajvinder, I just want to talk to you now about very, very practical things in relation to Pitta. So I'm just wondering, what sort of conditions do you see people coming in with Pitta imbalances, and what kind of recommendations? What would be the typical type of thing you might be recommending for Pitta people?
Okay, thank you, Noel. As Pitta is the element, fire element, dominancy of fire element in the body, and Pitta is responsible for the digestion. So anything that's kind of related to the digestive system problems, there is involvement of Pitta there. So the first thing that a Pitta person would experience if Pitta is out of balance is indigestion, heartburn, gastritis. So these are the common problems, and that is high Pitta in the body. And if Pitta is not looked after and the situation continue, then it can change into colitis and Crohn's on the autoimmune side. So Pitta is the element which is involved more into the autoimmune problems. So, for example, eczema, psoriasis. There are other like Vata, Kapha element involvements there, but dominantly most of in my practice I see the Pitta is majorly involved. As Dr. talking about the sour element, the sour food consumed by the pregnant woman, and that then the child could be born with the skin condition, and that could be maybe more acne as the child is going to grow, or eczema or psoriasis. So I treat people with them, they have eczema from their birth time and they're still struggling. And when you ask them about their diet and lifestyle, you find that there is a lot of Pitta imbalance going on in their system. And Pitta is in mostly the heat, and heat is mostly in the liver. So in Ayurveda, heat and the liver, they goes hand by hand. So all the heat trapped in the liver is going to show up on the skin. So majorly the skin problems are Pitta related. And then as Dr. Naheed was going about the subdoces, so we heard about the alochic Pitta, which is responsible for the eyes health. So the people with the vision problem and most of the problem around the eyes are Pitta related. So eye health, thinning of hair loss could be Pitta related as well. Arthritis, some of the arthritis like rheumatoid arthritis or osteoarthritis, majorly Vata, but there could be Pitta involvement going on in the system. So if we'll think about the autoimmune problems, mostly they are Pitta related.
Okay, and what sort of foods and spices would we be recommending for people who have Pitta imbalances or high Pitta?
Okay, so there are 6 tastes in the food, as you all know by now: sweet, sour, salty, pungent, bitter, and astringent. So if we take the first taste, sweet, and then the last 2, bitter and astringent, they are good for Pitta. So Pitta people should avoid sour, and they should avoid salty, and they should avoid the pungent taste. So it's probably a bad news for all the crisp lover. They can't eat all those tomato-based kind of curries or potato crisps, and wine moderation, but too much of consumption of alcohol would increase Pitta in the system. As I was saying before, all these are like acid increasing substances, and they increase the heat in the liver, and that's what is going to show up on in the physiology in some form of skin problem or heartburn or indigestion or colitis and things like that. So Pitta should avoid sour fruits, which could be like an unripe mango, which will be very sour pineapple, sour kiwis, sour tomatoes, and lemon in moderation. Lots of people have asked about the lemon. Lemon has more alkaline effect on the system, so you could have lemon in moderation, maybe less lime. So sour and all those like salt-based pickles and salt-rich food as well, Pitta should avoid. And Pitta should avoid spices, like pungent spices, like a lot of ginger and a lot of black pepper or paprika, cayenne pepper, those kind of pungent spices also, or pungent fruits or vegetables, Pitta should avoid as well.
I presume they could take ginger in small amounts.
In small amount, ginger is a universal herb. Ginger has a lot of properties. Ginger is a natural antioxidant, natural anti-inflammatory, and ginger is anti-cancer. Lots of research around ginger. So ginger is known as a universal herb, but Pitta would take ginger in moderation, but it's not like they should avoid it. Mainly they should avoid chilies, like a lot of red chilies or kind of chili based kind of, because chili is a very kind of a fiery and very kind of a strong pungent kind of a spice which stimulate Pitta too much in the system.
Yeah, actually I know that from experience. I quite like spices in my food, but chili is one of the things I simply can't take. If in a meal, it's too hot for me. But things like ginger and turmeric and all of these I can handle. I presume then there'd be cooling spices as well that would be good for Pitta people. So maybe fennel and coriander.
Yeah, so I'm saying about the bitter taste is good and astringent taste is good. So spices like bitter, which is turmeric, is more on the bitter side in moderation, is very good for Pitta people. And astringent like cumin, coriander, fennel is wonderful cooling herb. Cardamom has a cooling effect on the body. Coriander has a cooling effect. So Pitta people can have a blend of a small amount of cumin and dominantly fennel and cardamom and turmeric and a little bit of ginger and black pepper. So these are the spices which could be more. And in the fresh herbs, coriander, fresh mint, and peppermint, these are wonderful spices for Pitta. Rose petals, licorice root, These are good. Marshmallow root, we stock, not the marshmallow, but the marshmallow root in your drinks and all. These are wonderful for Pitta. And we do around the spices, there might be some new people here are hearing these spices first time. I think most of people now are very much familiar with the spices. We do a Pitta blend, so it's called Pittachurna. So to start with, for the beginners, that's where you start from Pittachurna. And for your drinks, we have Pitta tea, which is a lovely tea from fennel and cardamom and all those nice Pitta cooling spices. So those are worth considering for Pitta people.
Yeah, there, if people don't want to get too involved in the spices and they just want to be able to buy something that's balancing for their Pitta, then those Pittachurnas and those Pitta teas exist. Coconut must be very good for Pitta people, I would imagine.
Coconut is very cooling. And the fresh coconut, not the dry one, because when you dry the coconut, it's get heating then. So the fresh coconut water, coconut milk, it's a wonderful, or cooking with coconut oil, ghee as well. And the second, the coconut is great for Pitta people. So so there is a lot of Pitta options there. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's lots of things that people can do if they are of a Pitta nature, because you'll know yourself when you start to go out of balance, and you'll feel that anger and you'll feel that impatience, and and it's not good. It's not a nice way to be. So there are lots of things that Pitta people can do, including those, cooling drinks and those spices. And I presume leafy green vegetables then with the bitter element are very good for it.
With the bitter element, especially like dandelion, nettle, and spinach in moderation, and sweet like sweet potato, carrots, these are good. So Pitta should avoid again, too much of bitters are great, bitter vegetable, any other bitters that you can find. Mustard green more on the warming side, but in moderation they are okay. Pak choi, chards, they're brilliant for Pitta people. Beetroots are good, sweet potato, carrots, parsnips, they are all lovely vegetables. Or the courgette and any kind of that kind of green which has a lot of juice, which has a lot of liquid in them, because Pitta is the fire element, so Pitta need to be hydrated well as well. So juicy fruits and juicy vegetables they are good for Pitta.
Okay, and I'm presuming that skipping meals is a really bad thing for Pitta people. Strong digestion they're gonna.
The first thing when I consult to find out people's dosha, I ask them, do you feel hangry? And people laugh and say, yeah, that's me. So hangry is hungry and angry. So that's the thing Pitta people cannot take. If they're hungry, don't go near them. They're really kind of cranky, and they could be very snappy and bitter as well. So if you have a Pitta friend or Pitta family member, if you see them, they're panicking, not panicking, they're cranky, just give them a little sweet or something to eat so they'll calm down a bit. And so Pitta really, for Pitta people to get to be friends with Pitta is like I do for Noel to make so that he's nice boss to me. I make him lovely lunches and he really likes whenever he comes. So Pitta love their food. Their food is, but Pitta's weakness is the sweet tooth. They can get attached to the sweet taste with too much. That's where they should have sweet taste naturally occurring from the food, like rice or sweet fruits. That's where they satisfy their sweet tooth. Otherwise, they end up emptying the whole box of the chocolates or biscuits go. So if you have a Pitta member in the family, you know it well. Where is the chocolate gone? So yeah,
I can relate to that one, especially over Christmas. All right, yeah. It's you open a box of chocolates, and then not that I do it too often, but then they're just all gone,
Yeah.
So everything you're talking about there is resonating with me. So as quite a Pitta person, the things that I would say people need to do is Pitta people can become very intense, and you need to step back and take a break from the things that you're doing, especially if you find you don't want to be angry or snappy with people or things like that, or judgmental or anything like that. And if you find yourself going that way, then you need to just step back a little bit from what you're doing. Walking in the moonlight's very good. Swimming is very good. Being out in nature is very good. Nice things, beautiful things are very good. And as Dr. Richvinder said there, food is really important, especially your main meal in the middle of the day. Because if you skip that, then you can really, really go out of balance. And Pittas don't take so well to complete fasting. We do recommend, fasting days, but I find if I fast and take nothing at all, what happens is I get a headache. And that's because there's too much acid coming out of the system, I believe. So, you can balance it off by having a light meal, a light soup or something like that. But sometimes Pitta people don't take too well to complete fasting, which a kapha might do better with it, or even the Vata might do better with it, but Pitta people always don't do very well with that, So that's great, Dr. Rajvinder. Thanks very much, and thanks very much for giving us an overview of that. So I think we have a fairly good overview there of the qualities of Pitta and what Pitta is. So maybe I'll just go back to Dr. Brennan. Is there any final words you'd like to say on the subject of Pitta, Dr. Brennan, now that you've heard our Vajas talking about it?
I think it's wonderful what they've told us, and giving us incredible insight. And in summation, you can see why it's so valuable to keep your Pitta balanced. And when you do that, you then, because of the Brajika, that skin-located Pitta, you have a lustrous complexion. If you say someone is illustrious, it's the light, it's Pitta coming. And then if you think about the digestion, the Pachika and the Ranjika in the digestive area, you're then talking about creating so much more ojas, which is your immunity, your strength, your vitality, which is, the perfect physical health. And then when you think of sadhaka to do with the heart and the transformation of life's experience into joy, balancing Pitta gives you these profound aspects which bring you to a reality which is the far greater you. And ultimately you have a lochika, which is to do with sight and insight. And that discriminating quality of Pitta, when the Pitta is settled, the Vata is settled, it causes you to have immense insight. And that insight is what allows you to sort of be truly yourself, where that field of consciousness reverberates in a perfect balance, and you experience your potential. And this is what we ultimately all want from our balance.
Okay, Dr. Brennan, that's fantastic. So before we finish our class, I want to share the screen with everybody, because again, I want to bring you to our website to show you where you can read up more about Pitta. So this is our website. It's just ayurveda.ie. So everybody should be familiar with this website. And again, if you go over to Ayurveda here, this menu option, and come down here, you'll see a page about Pitta. So you can read up about Pitta there, and what it's like in balance, and what it's like. There's all the different subdoces of Pitta and what they cover, and what happens when they go out of balance. You can see there demanding, perfectionist, workaholic, stomach acid, all those heating things, bloodshot eyes, poor vision, and then all the different things about things that balance your Pitta and things that imbalance your Pitta. So if you've recognized yourself as a strongly, predominantly Pitta person, there's lots and lots of things that you can start to do now to bring yourself back into balance. So we've done Vata, we've done Pitta, and now we have Kapha left to do. And Kapha will be the subject of our next lesson. And Kapha is earth and water. So a very heavy dosha, a very heavy element. And we're going to cover that in our next lesson. I'll put this up on YouTube for everybody to go back over so that they can review it. And now we're going to go over and we're going to do our Q&A session with our doctors. So if you have questions, I'd like, if possible, we'll give favor to people who ask questions about the content of the lesson. So if you have questions about Pitta or Pitta conditions, we'll favor them. But as usual, you can feel free to ask whatever question you want. I can't guarantee we're going to be able to answer them, but go ahead and put them into the chat. Okay, everybody, so we'll start our Q&A. Okay, sorry, Don, I have to go back and share the screen again. Unless it's stopped. It seems to have stopped. Okay.
Yeah, I see you know.
Okay, yeah. No, Don, are you muted? No?
No, I think I'm here. Can you hear me?
No, that's okay. Sorry, Don, that's the video continuing to play. Okay, we're back. It gets confusing between being live and being...
Well, we're definitely not dead anyway.
It's all the blue shirts, So we were jumping around there. I changed my shirt in the middle of that interview because I think what happened was I had to do a separate interview with Dr. Nahid or something like that. I can't remember exactly. But anyway, so we're back. So that's... So
Nahid is muted.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I'll unmute Dr. Nahid.
I'll go through some questions. Samantha asks cholesterol and ghee. Well, ghee or cholesterol would tend to be a kapha problem. And in that situation, we would take moderate amounts of ghee. But the great Vajas say that ghee is not sticky in that it doesn't contribute to blocking and blockages. So long as other aspects of your health are good, your good digestion and so forth. Michelle wonders about ME, post-viral fatigue, and tinnitus. Interesting, because I think it's that you would want to be watching how to balance your Vata as per our last lecture. But also, ME, you've burnt off ojas, that which gives you innate strength in your tissues. And that's why it's slow. And you would want to take a Ayurvedic regime and a lot of digestive
1 minute now.
devices
Okay.
in order to gradually replenish yourself. Quite feasible to recover, but it'll take time, and best, I'd say, under professional supervision. And Badra talking about tinnitus, how long would it take to cure? It depends how long it's been there. If it's there for years, it's going to take longer to sort out. But certainly the nasal drops would be a good start to use them 4 times a day on rising and after meals. That's the MA735 nasal drops. Priya asks about contraindications of herbs medications recommended. Priya, best thing to do, go on Google that question. It'll come up with the National Institute of Health in America, has a National Center for Complementary and Integrative Health. And on their website, you can find out what herbs and contraindications and with medicines and all of that. Also, your father is rashes in the sun. Isn't that very fascinating? He's obviously quite Pitta, but at least he has a very big Pitta imbalance. If he does everything to balance Pitta, that could be gradually eased in time. So, but it is certainly a very powerful Pitta imbalance that in Brajika, you know, the Pitta in the skin particularly, would need to be soothed and rebalanced. And Sonia, does a Pitta person have big ears? Hey, I like that one. Is a Pitta about it? Hey, Noel, has a Pitta person got big ears?
I don't know. Take a look at them. They're big enough, I suppose. Yeah, they're big enough. If you have big ears, you have a long life, I think. So I don't
That's
know.
the point. That's the point.
The bigger, the better.
It's interesting, you know, there's 2 things that continue to grow throughout your life, and that's your nose and your ears. So you can see a very great elder, you know, and you wouldn't even know they were their age, except that their nose and their ears tend to be big.
Okay.
But I would suspect more in the area of Kapha and even Vata for big ears. I don't know what Nahid or Rajvendra would think. Big ears, what do you think?
Yeah, I say the kapha.
Kapha, yeah.
Kapha and vata. Vata probably thin and big, and kapha probably thick and
Yeah.
wide, broad here. Pitta will be very nice medium features. Yeah.
And that's interesting, Raj, because, you know, in old age, the Kapha people will tend to do better because of that innate strength. And that could, with Ojas being more a Kapha element, give them long life.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah,
could be
so-
part of the tradition. What was that, Nahid?
Yeah, so for Kapha person, it's like that they are like long lived, and the Vata person, those who are imbalanced Vata, they are short lived person. And everything
Yeah.
is medium for Pitta people, so no one don't have to worry at all.
No. I think I might start worrying now.
Me too.
Oh, you're
So
gonna live
there's a
long.
question about a nosebleed and migraine. So bleeding disorder is basically a Pitta disorder along with a disorder in your blood. So blood and Pitta is very directly correlated with each other. And as per some of the scholar, they consider blood as a 4th doshas, and the same quality, like blood has the same quality as Pitta. So bleeding disorders can be related in problem with your Pitta and along with your blood. And migraine is a disorder in the imbalance in your Pitta and Vata. So of course, if you're looking for a balance, you need to focus on balancing your Pitta more, because that will balance your blood as well. And maybe some of the regime, like Nasya with MP16, that will give you to help to balance your Vata, and will help you to reduce the pain, because any disease which is above your throat, above your neck region, Nasya can be very beneficial in those conditions. So maybe you can start trying 2 sprays in each nostril with MP16 on it.
Can I come in there, Nahid, because you've
Yes.
triggered a thought. There's a complex of veins just up here at the tip of the nose.
The littles area.
Huh?
Littles area.
Yeah. And those are the vessels that are often involved in nosebleeds. And in my experience, if someone just puts a little bit of ghee into that part of the nose regularly, ghee being so good for pitta and so good for blood and so nourishing to the tissues, it often helps to mitigate that tendency and to help to clear up the regular nosebleeds. If anybody has a nosebleed, what they must do is keep a pressure on that area and keep the pressure. They have to watch their clock because time travels very slowly when you're pinching your nose for some reason. So you watch the clock and for at least 2-3 minutes hold, because it takes that leg for blood to clot, and then gently let go, and that often will stop the bleeding.
Yeah. And there is one more thing, like if you can just lie down on your back without any pillow in your head, that also stops the bleeding.
Right.
And be careful when you are applying ghee or oil, so you don't have big nails, and always try to use your little finger, but because that's the smallest and that doesn't produce or lead to any bleeding.
And the Brahmi oil, Pichu, the cotton or a cloth sock, Brahmi oil, cooling oil, keeping on the head area.
Yeah.
So what they do in India, immediately put the head under the cold water, or maybe in Ireland, you can do if you have that problem, cotton with the Brahmi oil, regular on your head.
Wow, interesting. That suits the pitta in the head area. It's lovely.
Yeah, and then
good for the
the
migraine too.
buttermilk. Sometimes wash your hair with buttermilk, cooling.
Oh, I'd love to see my wife doing that.
Speaking of your wife, someone says about the dosha finding life partners for different doshes. So I think if you're a pitta, a good kapha partner would be very good for you, because they're probably the only person that'll be able to handle you anyway. So someone with a lot of kapha in them, they wouldn't get too excited by your excitement. Two pittas together could be very fiery.
Oh, it's volcanic.
Yeah,
But
very
it can be
fiery.
great fun.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, well, maybe great fun if you're looking at it from the outside, but if you're in it, it's probably not great fun.
I remember my little 4-year-old nephew coming into the very, very pitta father and mother who were in the middle of a huge argument. And the really interesting thing to me was to watch how the child coped. So the child was trying to get cornflakes to gather milk together. So the child went up to both trousers, and they were both standing up arguing. And he pulled both trousers, and both of them stopped, like this. And they stopped and looked down. And of course, as soon as they see the child, they soften. And the child is looking up and saying, "Where's the cornflakes?" So anyway, they say, "Well, the cornflakes is over there." And then they look at each other, and then they start into it again, And then suddenly the trousers are pulled, and they look down. "And where's the milk?" "Oh, the milk is in the fridge." So the little fella goes off and gets himself milk. And then they're just about to tear into each other. And then the child, "Where's the sugar?" So then the sugar is.
And that child is still alive.
Well, yeah. And
that child is still alive.
He has the tray and he's all set up, and he goes back out, to the sitting room with his little tray, and they continue like this. And then they come to a crescendo, and I'm sitting back watching Pitta and saying, what's going to happen? So they come to the crescendo, and they both come to silence and glare into each other's eyes, and neither of them are going to give in. And they both know each other well enough to know that neither of them are going to give in. So the next thing they do is they erupt laughing.
Well, what else could you do?
Yeah, because that's how Pitta dissolves, because laughter makes it dissolve. And it's that sort of a situation with two Pittas. It can still work.
Yeah, I think any doshic thing can work because people get used to one another. I mean, you're quite Vata and Anne is Vata as well. So you have two Vata people there, So I think anything can really work. It's just how well people get to know each other, and people, anything can work and anything cannot work. Put it that way.
Bering sings lovely, so I think he sings. So his songs forever keep and happy.
I think it's the balance. When you're balanced, it works. When you're out of balance, it's always the problems are the imbalance. So are baby creams products safer in terms of chemical contents? Vatsala, you're putting in loads of good questions here. Vatsala, just read the label.
Yeah.
It's amazing what they end up giving babies. You cannot trust industry. It's after money, not health. So read the labels and
Yeah,
be very
you have to
vigilant.
read the ingredients. Don't be taken in, and if it has the word natural on it, means nothing. Means absolutely nothing. So most vitamins and vitamins, we've said this before, are synthetic. They're made from petroleum. So the fact that it is natural or green or any of these words on it, they mean absolutely nothing. All that means anything is the ingredients. So take a look at the ingredients.
And if you can understand the ingredients, they're probably okay. If you see a lot of terms you don't understand, big chemical names, just put it back on the
Some
shelf.
of the natural company like Valida is one of the herbal, but you still check the labels. They have some lavender and soothing calendula.
I think, Dr. Brennan, you told me one time for one of the best things for ladies to put on their face is mango and banana. Would that be right? A mixture of mango and banana? Did you tell me that one time?
I don't know, but it sounds
Probably
nice.
avocado.
What's that, Raj?
Avocado, vitamin E.
Okay. So mash up some banana and avocado and mango maybe, and just make a paste of it. On your face.
Yeah, but do clean it off before you go out.
Well, you could eat it off. Yeah, well, no, maybe not. Have a lot of toxins in it at that stage.
Susan Irvin has a very interesting question as well about babies. Her second son was very dark-skinned for the first few weeks after birth. Was this Pitta? Actually, yes, but it is a common thing because babies have more hemoglobin than they need, so they start to break it down on birth, but their liver isn't mature enough to handle it, and it takes the liver about 2 weeks to catch up. So that's a common thing. So, for babies to be jaundiced, but we would see it also as, the babies has come into the world with a bit of excess Pitta.
That could be mother's diet.
Yeah.
And a lot of comments are.
And often they say there's sometimes breastfeeding prolongs it, so which comes back again to the mother's diet. Her breastfeeding, she's giving the child something else that's increasing the Pitta through the breast milk. Yeah, interesting. Does Pitta balance have better Dhatu Agnis or Tejas? The Pitta balanced would tend to have really good Tejas. Yeah.
The Tejas, Ojas, and Prana, 3 words. So the Prana is related to Vata, which is your breath, and Ojas is all of your immune system related to Kapha. Tejas is your Pitta, digestion, breakdown of food, absorption, and everything.
Fantastic. And Tejas is also that incredible capacity of mind to extract truth and knowledge. It's a very incredible intellect, insight, wisdom, in that sense, wisdom.
Yes. So a Pitta Kapha in that sense can go very well because Kapha would have stamina and they sometimes not able to make a decision, process the information fast. So Pitta can push them, Pitta can see that. And for Vata as well, a lot of imagination, lots of idea can put that into practice. So that Pitta mind, the Tejas of Pitta could help to put things straight into things and could be more practical in that sense.
Lovely. And then Amani asks about eczema. On the ball, Amani, it tends to be a Pitta problem. So you're thinking about balancing the Pitta. The skin is an organ where we clear toxins from as well. So you want to clean up your diet a lot as well. And there are good herbals that would help. So that's very amenable to treatment, Amani. And leg cramps is not so much Pitta related as Vata. And my first strategy would be to suggest magnesium because it often relaxes muscles. But also, the other factors in life that balance Vata, like a good oil massage. Yeah. Nahid.
Yeah.
How are you? Any comment you want to make? Because we're dominating again.
Who's dominating? Noel.
Oh, no, we're doing all that, the talking, and we'd love to hear from you because you're full of wisdom.
I'm just looking at the question. Yeah, so there is one question about what sports would you recommend for a Pitta people. So as Noel always say, that go for a swimming. Swimming is very relaxing for a Pitta people. So any water sports can be very soothing and relaxing for a Pitta people. And Pitta have like a medium kind of body strength. So like you can play as many sports you like which require a medium kind of strength, Otherwise, you can go for a walk around the river, like, by the side of the river or in a calm place in forest. It's very calming for Pitta.
Vatsala
Skiing.
suggests walking in the moonlight.
Skiing is great for Pitta people.
Yeah.
If you can get it, okay.
But Priya, hypoglycemia and diabetes mellitus are more likely related to kapha if it's the late onset diabetes, or vata if it's the early onset diabetes, not so much pitta. And Anjana, to calm down acid reflux, you've got to take care of your digestion. There's a lecture coming up on that in next week. So how do you mind your digestion is very important, Anjana. And don't be eating heavy meals at night, because it only regurgitates when you go to bed and leaves you with more acidity. And is coconut milk cooling for Pitta person, and coconut oil? Definitely, Naya. And lentils, yes. And Vatsala comes in again. What about orange and grapefruit? If the orange is very sweet, it'll be lovely for Pitta, but if it's sour increases Pitta, then no. And grapefruit is too sour for Pitta. How about salt-free crisps? Better than salty crisps, because salt can increase Pitta, but crisps tend to be deep fried, and deep frying is not great for Pitta because it's hard for the liver to handle too much oil.
A little bit to enjoy. It's okay.
Thank you, Rich.
Yeah, actually, that's the difference between Pitta and Vata now, because Dr. Brennan's wife, Anne, when I go there for a meal, not that I've been there for a meal in a long time, but she'll open up a packet of nice, really good crisps, like, and she'll take out 4 or 5 and put them on the plate, and then put the bag of crisps away. A Pitta person couldn't do that. I just couldn't do that. If I opened the bag of crisps, the crisps would be gone, So
that explains why Noel hasn't come for a long time.
Yeah. Well, it's more to do with COVID, but yeah, but that's just the way. That's just Pitta people are like that. They just can't. They just tend to be, if you open the bag of biscuits.
That's why he prefers going to Raj, you see. She gives him big portions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A session on relationships and doshas would be brilliant. The impression made by Dr. Brennan worth 1,000 books. Okay, so they are that. You can become an agony aunt, or you can become an agony uncle, or a relationship guru.
And cataracts, Veronica, very interesting. Cataracts. I'm not sure that it's a Pitta problem. I'd suspect more it could be a vata drying influence. So an excess heat of the sun in that sense could contribute, or a kapha and ama problem. I think I'll throw that one over to Nahid and Rajvinder as well. Cataracts.
What is the question?
Is it a Pitta problem? What's the best prevention and cure?
The eyes are organ for Pitta. So first kind of balance too is to look into the Pitta for the person, but there could be vata and kapha involvement. So depend on the dominancy, because eyes are Pitta, ears are vata, so that's how we treat it, and nose is more kapha. So that's what we look. So first impression will be the Pitta for sure. So the heat in the system could dry out the mucus, the extra kind of what the eyes needs, because people suffer nowadays a lot with the dry eyes, which is too much Pitta in the body. So that could be just food related, heating in the house, radiator is on because of the cold weather, and warm water on the face while showering. So it could be a lot of things involved. So yeah, definitely we do look into Pitta, but depends on what else is going on.
The use of ghee and the use of triphala is very good for the eyes and would make for good prevention.
Yeah, ghee is always considered, because in the Panchakarma where the treatment's are done, it's called Netra Tarpana, where your eyes are bathed with the pool of ghee. So they make a little ring with the dough and let the ghee goes on it. Plain or medicated ghee, depends on the situation. There are different treatments done around the eyes. There's a whole branch of ENT of Ayurveda. There are different treatments of eye, nose, and throat. Very, very ward people do PhD around ENT in Ayurveda. It's just in Ireland we don't have those facilities. So it's a very big branch.
And the other thing is the nasal drops, because they're good for hearing, sight, taste, smell. So
all the prevention strategies and lubricating. Don't let your system organs dry too much, eye, ear, nose, and then dry healthy fats in your food, healthy meals. That's what we say again and again and again. So that you try to achieve it slowly, one step at a time, what you can. to
Okay.
prevent, because it's a prevention-based model, and then there is a cure.
So we're actually doing a webinar on eye, ears, throat, and nose. In
By Dr. Nahid.
yeah, by Dr. Nahid in April. So we're doing a special
We're
webinar on
We're
that.
all looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Mm.
And people are putting in brands and saying this is good, this is good. We wouldn't know. I mean, I would not have looked at some of those brands, but it just all just comes back down to the ingredients in the particular thing. That's what it comes down to. So just look at the ingredients, and you can Google if you're not sure about what the ingredients are. Google them and see what they are. You know, so any harsh chemicals, any synthetic chemicals, in some ways you're trying to avoid if possible. You know.
Avni asked, is it okay to do a Biang oil massage in the evening? Fine, Avni. It's good to do it anytime, really. In the morning, if you do it, you're more settled through the day. That's why we recommend it in the morning. You have a lot of heart palpitations, Brian. Well, I would suggest you also look at Vata there. And good herbs in the diet like saffron and cardamom and ginger are nourishing as well to the heart. So, but balance Vata if you have palpitations. And what about tea and coffee? How do we know when Pitta is back in balance? When we're joyful and happy and blissful. How do we maintain it? Keep the balance. We're talking about balancing Pitta. Yes, last week Vata, next week Kapha. So keep your balance. Your medicine causes you strong heartburn, and I'm prescribed heartburn. The medicine is obviously provoking maybe some heat and Pitta, and that's why they give you another medicine to take at the same time. You could try the Asi balance and take that 2 tablets after each meal and see if that replaces your other medicine to reduce the heartburn. What's the best way to take Triphala? If it's to eliminate toxins and help for constipation, take it at night going to bed. If it's as a tonic, take it in the morning. Our nosebleeds and migraines linked to Pitta, we've had that. I'm drinking your lively Kapha tea, but I have Crohn's disease. Should I drink your Pitta tea too? Probably wise, because Kapha, Crohn's can be an inflammatory condition. So Kapha tends to have hot spices. Pitta would be better probably. What about cheese?
I would say Vata will be much better if the Crohn is there, because of the licorice and all the fennel and all the soothing herbs in it.
So the Vata would even be better because the spices are mild. Yeah.
It's snoring a Pitta problem. I don't think it's necessarily a Pitta problem, but
I'm just trying to shoot through as many of these questions as I can, because I'm struggling with my weight. I'm getting older, putting on weight. Yeah, I can bring back traumas. So yeah, Patrice, just your digestion, your agni, your fire reduces as you go on. So you no longer burn off the toxins. So you have to moderate the amount you eat is one thing. You have to make sure you're eating your main meal in the middle of the day. And, you know, tune into the digestive advices that we're going through. Burning sensations in your toes, size of thighs, mainly in the evening. What to do? What can I do? Try coconut massage. Include more ghee in your diet, Badra. Get out for the evening walk in the moonlight. Balance your Pitta. What about cheese? Increases Pitta. Hard to digest. So keep it soft, and if you're Pitta, keep it very minimum.
Molin is saying a bit. Should I
Go
take
ahead.
it up?
Yeah, go ahead, Dr. Rajendra.
She said she's tridoshic. She was told she's tridoshic, and now it seems that I'm fighting with some Vata Pitta imbalances. I get angry quickly and critical. Okay, that's Pitta. My digestion is not so well and not sharp, so that is Kapha. And I have back stiffness and hips pain, that is Vata. So you are tridoshic. So what is going on is all the 3 kind of doshas are out of balance. So you sit for long meditation, she's saying. So Molin, try to go back on all the normal kind of recommendations, like Abhyanga, eating your main meal. Come on. I'm at my friend's house, and that's her son.
Hello, gorgeous. How are you? What's your name?
Tell your name. What's your name? What's your name? Yes, Mary Fry. Okay. He's distracted. Okay, go from here. Go from here, both of you. Go. Sorry.
That's your son.
Yeah. Cheeky monkey. So yeah, I think I need to go on mute for a minute. I'll let you, Dr.
Yes, so I take a question, and it's about is addiction related to any particular pitta? So sadhak pitta, which is located in our heart. So if we cannot let go anything, any emotion, any feeling, it means there is something wrong with our sadhak pitta. And addiction is also a thing where you cannot let go to certain habits. So sadhak pitta might be responsible for that, but it's more about your habit, and if you're looking to balance your sadhak pitta, then meditation, pranayam can help you to balance your pitta, sadhak pitta especially. And I'll take one more question. Um, Sorry, I just missed that question.
There's a question there, are roasted peanuts good for Vata Pitta and how many to eat? I don't think they're particularly great for anything in some ways, and not peanuts. Maybe nuts would be good for Vata, all right. What do you think about peanuts, Dr. Brennan?
Yeah, they're not considered very sattvic in our
They're not
diet.
even a nut, to be honest, I don't think.
They aren't a nut, they're a legume.
Yeah,
They're in pod. And so they're not of the fine quality that nuts generally are. So you could choose almonds or any other nut would be better.
Brazil nuts.
In
are-
case of pitta, moderation in the amount of the good quality nuts.
Brazil nuts, walnuts, all.
Brazil, cashew, hazelnut, walnut, yeah. And Vata Pitta and would like to gain weight, use more ghee. And out of interest, there are theories on which dosha to consider a prospective life partner. Isn't that wonderful? Hey, doing an Vata Pitta, an analysis on your partner.
So I go back. Can I go back on the Maureen question? Sorry, I got
Yeah,
distracted.
go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yes.
Maureen, looks like you need a very good detox. So we are doing the detox probably, I don't know, we can get space, but look for April when if the back stiffness and hip pains going on and you don't feel your digestion is very kind of strong. So do consider that, but you can do a liquid day and light meal for at least 3 days or try to reset your metabolism and see if that helps. So try to eat warm, drink warm, and go to bed on time and gentle walks. Hopefully you will feel better.
There's two things. I'm just going to interrupt you all here, okay? There's two things I want to read out just just in my own, just to boost my own ego here. Nirma says, your talks are much easier to understand the doshas than the old videos. Thank you, Nirma. And then Poppy says, I absolutely agree, Nirma. Incredible improvement in content delivery. So I was the one that was pushing to do our own course because I felt our doctors were underestimating their brilliance and their ability to put that information out. But the doctors, being modest, were happy to go with the other one. But I actually do feel that the content of this course is I'm not putting down the other course by any means whatsoever, but I just feel our own doctors, we're capable of imparting it in a great way.
And I was fighting a rear guard battle to keep going with the old course, But
No,
Pitta wins again.
No, go.
I wasn't getting much support in putting together our own course, so I had to design the whole thing myself and then just drag them to the camera and interview them all. But
well, that's very encouraging. Thanks for the comments.
Yeah, there's a few people have said that. So
Yeah, a few people have said that actually.
Yeah, lovely. Well, now I've held you in suspense about your lifetime partner. So let me come back to that question. And what you look for in a lifetime partner is ojas, balance, bliss. And the second thing I have to say is see her or him through 4 seasons. Because he can be going through a very short, good period and he might come out of it and being a roaring bear. So if you see him through 4 seasons, you have a fair idea. And if he's still full of ojas and gives you full of joy, go for him or her.
Okay, well, there you have it. So ojas is what you're looking for, not a particular dosha. And I would agree with that because, you could be a pitta and you think a kapha will do you well, and then you get a kapha and then it just doesn't work out, So, a person in balance, regardless of what dosha they are, is probably.
Should the pitta use sesame oil for a bianga? It depends. I mean, in the autumn, winter, it could be fine because they're not too pitta. But if they're very pitta, you'd probably be better sticking with the coconut oil, or else your skin might just start to get a little bit of overheated and inflamed. If that happens when you're doing a bianga, stop, let your skin rest, and then start with a cooler oil like sunflower oil or coconut oil. And for kapha, sesame oil is a good one for a Bianga.
Dr. Manning, Amani said we have only 2 seasons here in Kuwait, so we can test the person for 4 seasons now.
Well, where is he? In Kuwait?
Kuwait.
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 Jesus.
And then they're saying how to recognize OJS. So you have triggered more questions now.
Vitality, life, joy, happiness, enthusiasm. Very easy to recognize. Just the skin luster, everything about the person will tell you. Just look at Dr. Richvinder there. Say something, Dr. Richvinder.
Okay.
Just look at any of the doctors. That's
OJS.
That's OJS there, you know.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's, you see, when body and mind is totally integrated, what it becomes is a reflector like a glass of water in the sun. And so the sun is the source of light. The pure water reflects, and it's almost the sun. Dirty water, very poor reflection. Mind and body is reflecting that field of consciousness at the basis of life. And ultimately, every one of us is just that, pure field of consciousness, wonderfully, uniquely expressed in each one of us. And when we actually get the balance and mind and body are so integrated, OJS is present, we shine. We literally are just blissful. That's how we know OJS, through the bliss.
And Veronica Roberts says happiness is the best medicine. Thanks, guys, for what you radiate. Happiness absolutely is the best medicine, and it's the purpose of health, and it's the expansion of happiness is the purpose of life, which may not seem to be the way it is nowadays, but that's what the purpose of your existence is to radiate more and more happiness by being more and more in tune with your own nature, which ultimately is bliss and happiness, regardless of what the outer circumstances may be dictating. Your ultimate nature is bliss and happiness, you know.
Michelle got interference when I was talking about ME. Michelle, it's about OJS. It's about rebuilding OJS over time. Can take a reasonable amount of time to recover totally, but quite feasible with a lot of attention to digestion, metabolism, the balance, particularly Vata, because Vata is also to do with tinnitus. So it's balancing the Vata, improving the digestion, but it's probably where you would benefit from oversight from Nahid or Raj or myself or some Ayurvedic professional. And we've said that people Pitta should avoid conflicting situations. The Priya, this is very good. Pitta should avoid conflicting situations. Are you listening to this, Noel? But do you think that Pittas are naturally drawn to politics and passionate about human rights and fighting for justice? Noel even thought about joining the Green Party at one stage. So
he was dragging me in.
So yeah, that's exactly it, isn't it, Gaz? They become Pitta because they want to even make the laws, because they want to tell the rest of us what to do, you know. They're so organized. But if they're balanced, they can work very, very well. But if they get out of balance, then the whole politics deteriorates into this endless arguments of stupidity that we're bombarded by. Fortunately, there are some very integrated and very wise politicians also that give us, you know, a bit of conviction that.
Yeah, it's all about balance. I mean, you can get in situations because Pitta people drive things, they get things done. If there wasn't Pitta people, nothing would happen, you know. So they can end up getting into situations where there's conflict, but it's a matter of managing that and seeing when you're going out of balance and then being able to stay back in balance. And then, as I said before, it's a matter of also not getting too caught up in the whole situation and just being able to step back from things as well. But certainly a lot of politicians, certainly a lot of business people will have a Pitta nature. A Pitta kapha nature is actually one of the best natures you can have if you're in business, you know. So
snoring is not necessarily a Pitta problem, more an obstruction, a kapha problem. You try the nasal drops regularly and probably need to balance kapha a bit more.
Trickatu is very good spice. Trickatu with honey. So Trickatu helps. Yeah, after meals, because that could be sluggish metabolism and that block your passage airway. So warming spice help. And somebody was saying itching is a Pitta condition. It could be. Itchiness could be related to Pitta, or dryness on the skin, Vata, could be your liver functions, kidney functions. That could be a lot involved here. So.
So
That's
Avni says, I'm now following the dosha times in waking, sleeping, and eating, and it has made a great difference in my health and energy levels. Thank you to the whole Ayurveda team. So there you are. As I said, you do the things and then you see the benefits. Like it's, it's a real thing. It's not, it's knowledge that's been passed down for thousands of years, so it's not just saying eat your main meal in the middle of the day for the sake of eating it in the middle of the day. It's saying eat it in the middle of the day because that's when your digestion is the strongest, and that's when you're going to get the most benefit out of it. And go to sleep before 10 o'clock, because if you're asleep for pitta time, these things happen, these purifications happen during that time. So and so it's real, and therefore when you do those things, you automatically see the benefits, and you wouldn't keep doing them if you didn't see the benefits. So that's our omega-3 is important. How do you get them if you're vegetarian? Vegan omega-3, cytoplant vegan omega-3.
Yeah, that comes from an algae, so that's a nice vegan supplement. The other way is if you take 2 tablespoonfuls of flax seeds and grind them fresh. They have that would be a day's complement of omega-3s in the best possible way as a food. But you must grind them fresh and have it fresh, because it's brilliant antioxidant, but that means it'll deteriorate rapidly in the air. My mum gave me a tip for black bruises. I love this one. Vodka with salt wet and put it on the bruise, and the dark bruise will clear next day. Nancy, very interesting, because darkness, blackness would indicate vata. So vata is involved in that bruise, and the vodka and the salt actually quite heating for vata. So that it's an interesting traditional remedy. I suspect it'll be interesting and would have good effect. So what a waste of vodka.
Sorry, yeah. Are you
Go
finished?
ahead, no, go ahead, Raj.
Yeah. Amani is asking about depression. What can help? Depression is mainly related to a kapha problem. So hopefully in the kapha lecture, there will be more tips for you to take on board. But first thing for kapha is kapha could snuggle up and easily become couch potato and tend to sit in too much. So go for a fresh air walk. Even though if it's cold, wrap up yourself, go out. The air really brighten up the kapha mind. So have a routine for yourself and try not to eat too late in the evening and go to bed on time.
And Dr. Richbinder is going to do we're doing a webinar on mental health as well. So Dr. Richbinder is going to be doing a webinar on mental health. And Helen O'Donovan asks, is anxiety related to any, I presume she says dosha. So vata would be very much associated with anxiety. All that movement puts the system out of balance. So anxiety could be very much a vata related thing.
Yeah, Mairead is asking, she made the ghee by the video, which is great. But now she's asking how can she use it now? Like what is the use of it? I think that's what she's asking. So Mairead, you can make maybe every second day or every day one dish. If you're making dal, if you're making khichdi, or putting into the rice, or putting into the milk, what we are saying. So 1 teaspoon, it's not overdoing. It doesn't going to contribute to the cholesterol if you're eating moderation, because there was a cholesterol and ghee question there. So use in your cooking, it uses a cooking oil. So that's what you use ghee for.
It's the only oil that supports digestion, strengthens it. So it's
it goes deeper into your tissues and help to absorption of the nutrients. So in moderation, and because it's a saturated fat, but it doesn't have a direct link to increase your cholesterol, but you use in moderation because of the saturated fat.
And because the saturated fats are very short chain, and the short chain fats, particularly one that is very much present in ghee, is butyric acid. Now that one's really interesting, because that one is something that really supports your bowel, your gut bacteria, your gut flora. And there's a question there on ulcerative colitis, and now people are becoming aware of the significance of the gut flora for ulcerative colitis. So ghee, ulcerative colitis being an inflammatory condition, pitta, ghee would be very, very good. And so definitely I would be balancing pitta for ulcerative colitis. And I've seen people's ulcerative colitis absolutely clear when they took to Ayurveda, balancing pitta, Ayurvedic herbals, taking care of their digestion. So that's quite something to consider gene for the ulcerative colitis. But Valerie has a wonderful suggestion that we do a session on relationships and doshas. It would be brilliant. But the thing is, I suspect I know who Valerie is. And Valerie, recently, she had been widowed, unfortunately, but in her 70s got married about a year or 2 years ago. So I think, Valerie, if you'd give us a lesson on relationships, I think that would be brilliant.
Oh, that's very happy news.
It's wonderful.
Married. Yeah. Yeah, I know Valerie as well.
Yeah, lovely.
Okay.
Okay, we're getting very close to the end here. So we're back on Thursday with Kapha. So Kapha is water and earth, so the heavy elements. And we're going to go in depth into into the qualities of Kapha. Dr. Naheed will talk about where it's located, and yeah, so we'll go into the whole thing. I'm just looking at some of the questions here.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we've really
I got to 8:28. I thought I was catching up there, but you never catch up. There's always too many questions. But no, I want to finish with a quotation, if I might.
You can indeed, Dr. Brennan. Yeah.
Right, and I'd like you just to sit back and to recognize that each of you are actually profoundly integrated at the deepest level with that field of consciousness, which is what is structuring the whole universe and everything in it. And really, our traditions are the lingering memory of that incredible truth and reality. And so when you read St. Patrick's breastplate, I arise today through the strength of heaven, light of the sun, splendor of fire, speed of lightning, swiftness of the wind, depth of the sea, stability of the earth, firmness of the rock. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, very good, Dr. Brennan. I actually never heard that before. What do you mean St. Patrick's breastplate?
It's a prayer.
Okay. It's very good. Very nice. Very nice. It reminds me, a bit of Amergan's song that used to be on Beauty's Cafe. It reminds me a bit of that.
I am the
salmon in a pool. I am the wave on the sea and all that. Which is also about pure consciousness as well. Very interesting. He was meant to be the first man to set foot in Ireland. He was a poet from the Miletians that came to Ireland, and he was meant to be the first man. And as he stepped foot on Ireland, he recited this poem, which used to be in Bewley's coffee shop in Dublin. I can't remember the whole poem, but it reminds me of that one with St. Patrick's there as well. Okay, everybody. That's.
I hope you all arise tomorrow like that.
Yes. So it'll be a very different St. Patrick's Day tomorrow. So with no parades and no pubs. So we'll see what happens. So
Sonia gave us a very nice tip on arrowroot powder she used for her children, and she still uses it. That was a nice tip. Thanks, Sonia.
Lovely.
Okay, everybody, that's great. So have a great St. Patrick's Day tomorrow and bank holiday here in Ireland. We're not having a yoga class tomorrow night. We've postponed that, but we are having a free yoga class and breathing exercise class on Saturday, but you have to register for that. I've sent you all the links, so make sure you register for that. And that's at 11 o'clock on Saturday, but we'll see you on Thursday anyway for our CAFA lecture,
And good night, Barbara.
And we're doing a free, that's in April. Okay, so that will announce later. 6 stages.
The 6 stages of disease, yes, we're going to do it's another very important aspect of Ayurveda. We're going to add a webinar on to this 6 lessons that we feel is very important, but we'll do that in April and we'll let you know about that. Okay, everybody, fantastic. Bye everybody. Have a great day tomorrow.
Bye. Good night.
Wednesday. Bye.
Coming on. You can go to bed now. Get some sleep.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Rise tomorrow.
Everybody. Bye. Bye.